What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the differences between the traditional dead stop deadlift and the touch and go deadlift. And as we go on with the video, you're going to see the pros and cons between the two so that you can decide for yourself which variation or which form of the deadlift is going to be best suited for you. Now, the obvious difference between the two is that when it comes to the dead stop deadlift, each rep that you would perform within the set is going to fully reset on the floor, as opposed to the touch and go deadlift, every rep is going to, as the name suggests, touch and go from the floor. One thing you should note though is that the touch and go deadlift is not the same as those crazy bouncing deadlifts that you would see those bros do in the gym. And as we continue on with this video, this applies to all barbell variations of the deadlift. So whether that be the conventional deadlift, the sumo deadlift, or even the stiff-legged deadlift. Now that we've talked about the obvious differences between the two variations, let's now talk about which one might actually be better for you. And of course, that all boils down to what your goals are, what your primary goal is, because your goals will dictate the action or the approach that you should go about your training and your nutrition. And the 5 most common fitness goals that you would see that people would have in the gym would be strength, power, hypertrophy, or in other words, muscle gain, endurance, and fat loss. So, but I do want to talk about endurance and fat loss right away, is that you don't really have to consider like which variation of the deadlift is going to be better for you, either the touch and go or the dead stop variation, because when it comes to endurance, you should really look at the cardiovascular work or the cardio activities that you're doing outside of your lifting. And if it comes to fat loss, it's not which deadlift variation is not really going to help you out that much. It's going to be more on how you're actually tracking your nutrition, how's you're eating on a daily or a weekly basis. If fat loss is your goal, look at your nutrition. If endurance is your goal, then definitely you should look more at your cardiovascular work. But let's now go into deeper detail when it comes to strength, power, and hypertrophy. Now, if strength is your main goal, so whether that be you're somebody who just wants to get generally stronger, or if you're a power lifter, or if you're a weightlifter, I'm definitely going to recommend the dead stop variation over the touch and go. Just because, especially if you're a power lifter or you're a weightlifter, it's just a lot more specific to the sport that you want to be better at. If you're going to compete in powerlifting, you're testing out your heaviest 1 rep max, and that 1 rep is coming from a dead stop. Like there's no momentum coming. So if you want to get better at that, you do have to train in that specific way. Same goes when it comes to weightlifting. You're picking up the weight from no momentum at all from the ground. So what's going to help you more? The dead stop variation. And another reason why, all things equal, when it comes to strength, if you're going to do 5 sets of 5, whether that be touch and go and dead stop of 100 kilos, without a doubt, doing that set in a touch and go style is going to be significantly easier. And just because it's easier, that doesn't mean it's better, because if you want to get stronger, that might not be the case if it's something super duper easy, because you do have to challenge your body to adapt to actually get stronger. So if strength is your main goal, you would definitely opt for the dead stop variation of the deadlift. And when it comes to hypertrophy, the same story actually kind of applies. If you're going to do 2 similar sets, whether that be 5 by 10 of dead stop versus 5 by 10 of touch and go, obviously the touch and go is going to be really easy. If that adaptation, if that stimulus that you gave your body isn't that strong or isn't that intense, the amount of muscle growth that your body has the potential to grow is going to be limited. So if you do choose to go for the touch and go variation and your main goal is still going to be muscle gain or hypertrophy, then I'm going to suggest you do have to increase either the sets, the reps, or even the weight, just because touch and go is going to make things a lot easier. So it's the same story. If your goals are mainly strength or hypertrophy, I would definitely suggest the dead stop variation. I'm not saying that the touch and go variation is not going to help you get stronger, it's not going to help you get bigger. It's just that all things equal, the dead stop variation does have more potential for you to grow. But now let's actually talk about power, and in other words, that's explosiveness. And I guess when we talk about explosiveness, plyometrics, anything similar to we always talk about how much force is being produced, even though that's something that can be talked about in strength as well. And to be a bit scientific, I mean, everyone knows this already, is that force is equal to mass times acceleration. When it comes to doing the touch and go variation in the deadlift, you are going to be able to perform the reps a bit faster, and you're going to accelerate. The reps are going to accelerate a bit faster as compared to the dead stop variation. So with that logic, you might actually want to consider opting for the touch and go variation for your power sets. But again, that's not to say that the dead stop variation isn't going to help you at all. It's just that majority of your sets might want to lean towards those touch and go reps. But again, that's just a suggestion. Don't take everything as a black and white thing. You can opt for one or the other per feel. It's not that if you choose one, all your goals are going to screw up anyway. But even after saying all of that, my personal preference is still going to be with the dead stop variation, and this is for everyone, no matter what goal you are. And that's because in my experience of coaching it, a lot of people, when they attempt to do the touch and go variation, their form tends to go off after 3 or 5 like reps, especially if you're doing high rep sets. If you're going for 10 or 12 reps, what I've noticed is that people tend to lose their form, lose their technique once they're nearing the end of their set, as opposed to the traditional dead stop variation. People are a lot more focused on the quality of the reps because there is a full reset in between each rep. But again, even though that's my personal preference and that's in my own personal experience, either variation is fine. It's not that, again, as I mentioned a while ago, if you pick one or the other, your goal is going to be completely screwed up. It's not the case whatsoever. Pick the variation that that you're comfortable with, but of course, understanding the key points that I mentioned a while ago, depending on what your goals are. But anyway, that video could have been a lot shorter. That's the video, guys. If you like these kind of videos, do let me know down in the comments below. Consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. See you in the next one.